My name is Heidi Totten, and I'm the Marketing Director for Wisdom Window, and we are so excited today to have Darnell Davis on our webinar. Hi, Darnell. How are you?
Hi, all. Doing well. Enjoying this
Doing
cold
well.
weather we're having over here.
I was just going to say, are you covered in snow?
Yes. Yes.
Uh, We've been melting the last few days. We've been in the 50s here in Salt Lake City, and in fact, a friend of mine said that he was going to go out running on Utah Lake today, and I vehemently told him that, it probably wasn't the best idea, that he would probably fall through. So
Saw
yeah,
that.
we're in a big thaw and you're in a deep freeze. So that's
We're
exciting
expecting
for
a few
you.
more inches today or tomorrow, going into tomorrow. Over the last week, I think we entered about 20 something inches of snow. I mean, I was sharing earlier, we have about 8 foot high snow mounds out in front of our house right now.
Wow.
It's a
Well,
lot.
so when we're done, you're going to go play in the snow, right? Build some snowmen or something.
No, it's all ice now.
Oh, all ice. Oh, bummer. Well, I would love to introduce you. Darnell, I met Darnell a little over a year ago, and we connected through some friends, and we've just been talking ever since and collaborating on some things. And Darnell is the CEO and the founder of Evolve Media Group, as well as a writer, speaker, motivator, entrepreneur, and business success coach. For nearly a decade, he's been in the business of seeing great people do great things. He's traveled around the country motivating and inspiring people to change. His passion is to empower entrepreneurs and business owners to create substantial success and expand based on their growth potential. He loves to help people understand specifically what it takes to build business networks, which is why he's here, and think outside of the normal borders with no limits. And he has a very successful background in business, finance, and marketing. In addition, Darnell is an innovator with a remarkable ability to determine and dictate success strategy to seize global market opportunities. And Darnell is actually launching a whole bunch of new stuff that I hope he tells us about a little bit about as well. But I am just going to bow out and let him talk, and then we'll open it up for questions when he's done.
Wow, it's an amazing thing when you hear your own bio sometimes. Well, once again, as Heidi put it, I'm Darnell Davis. I am the CEO of Evolve Media Group. We're building a digital, a digital publication and publishing company, looking to take things into this new age of digital functionality that a lot of people are kind of straying away from, and we're actually going bullheaded into it. Before I start, I guess what we do best is we're getting into into the digital publishing world. We currently publish a magazine called Evolution Magazine, which is a business and technology publication. But in a few months, we launched one of the pride and joys of our organization, the Women in Business and Leadership magazine, something that we've been working on for over a year now. And we were originally supposed to launch it September of last year, but we pulled back and we made some changes to staff. And I think that this new product that's going to be coming out in a couple of months here is going to be a force to be reckoned with. We want to share basically women doing great things and phenomenal things in business and leadership with that publication. We've been blessed to partner with a company that's publishing that was publishing a magazine. We've now since taken over the publishing of that magazine. That's called Echo Live. Echo Live magazine we're branding it as a metropolitan entrepreneur magazine. And what this means is that we are pointing this to the we're the unworked, if you will, the entrepreneur, the businessman that does not look, seem, and act like the traditional entrepreneur, the suit and tie guy. Where, this is pointing towards a more youthful, more vibrant, and more cultured, if you will, group of individuals and business owners. Next on the list is something that didn't expect, but we've been blessed to have someone. We reached out to an organization that was publishing a magazine, and they went away. And because they just lacked, not that they didn't lack the fervor to want or the passion, but rather they lacked the resources. And since we've been building Evolve Media Group, the resources have started coming in overwhelming masses. And so we've officially taken over the publishing of a magazine, fashion magazine called, it was originally called Simplemente Carlos, which was a magazine published by a designer out of Philadelphia. We've since taken over and changed the publication's name. It's just Simplemente, and it's by Carlos Colon, which once again is the individual whose idea it was, if you will, but it's his baby, but we've put our resources behind it, and that has seen some overwhelming, oh my goodness, some overwhelming um, response already. I've I don't even know how to explain how fast this blew up in my face. I was expecting a kind of a gradual end, but this gentleman saw what we pitched to him and enjoyed it so much that he began to share it, and his following began to follow us. And here we are starting now. But the best one, and it's the one that we're saving for the last, for the end of the year, is Talk Magazine. And Talk Magazine is a magazine dedicated to, for, and about speakers, panelists. We want to talk about planners and venues, and we want to, and those who service them. So really, essentially, this magazine is actually an attachment or an extension of our business network, which we've kind of shifted into a speakers network. And as a result, we've seen some people sign up. We've had some back end things that have really started to progress forward for us regarding that. So in a nutshell, we have a bunch of new publications coming out. We have a great funneling source for content, and we welcome you by all means. If you would like to submit your content, at the end of the webinar, I will definitely make sure that you have the information for you to submit your content and for your content to one of our brands. We are definitely welcome all types of content. We in across the board now with our expanding brands, we can accept a lot more content, and so we look forward to hearing from you in regards to that. But that's enough about what we do and how we do, and that's not why we're here. We're here because it's something that a lot of people have had a passion to do over the years, because simply marketing 101 is not really where people find themselves having the ability nor the finances to do the old way. People have oftentimes in past they've spent tons and tons of currency revenue and taken away from their business, and just to market, not to see a return on their investment within a certain amount of time. And as a result of that, we've seen a lot of frustrated business owners do some desperate measures. I mean, if you really look at it, even some of the funnier things, if you look some of the car salesmen and some of the different commercials that you see on TV, where you're thinking, they really spent money on that? Did they really have to pay for that? I understand. As you start to grow your brand, you start to begin a passion and develop a passion to know what it is that your brand is doing, and you want to begin to allow your brand to expand and allow people to come in contact with your brand. But at this day and age and in this economy, you want to do it with the least amount of, I guess, exposure when it comes to your finances. And one of the easiest methods of doing so is networking. For every dollar spent networking, there is going to be a tremendous ROI on that. And so that's why we're here today. I wanted to just take some time to share with you a couple of quick points about value-based networking and what it means to have a value-based network. One of the questions I put out earlier today on Facebook, and I've had some inbox responses, and I've had some people reach out to me, and we were talking. It's one of the biggest things was, what do you see your network as? Do you see your network as a river, free flowing, having some control, looking at things, projecting where it's going to happen, some ups and downs, knowing exactly where your network is going? Or do you see your network more swamp, just a big menagerie of names and email addresses and nothing there to really put a footing in on? Um, we want to talk to that first. It's that swamp-like network. I'm just going to be a little bit transparent here for a moment. Over the last year, we really just started this networking thing and really started teaching and explaining and sharing about networking. And I put a challenge to myself last year to connect with as many people as humanly possible. And what we did was is I began to travel the country and come in contact with networks all over the place with a goal in mind that I wanted to make contact with about 100,000 people, internetwork within my social media and other forms of networking. And personally, I had the opportunity to shake and exchange hands with a little over 13,000 people. I had a mailing list of almost 100,000 emails and emails and names, and great opportunity lied right there. The problem is that my network, although expanding very rapidly and we're getting the things happening that we wanted to, my network itself was a swamp. It was a river that had overflowed its banks, and that there's so much going on that there was no concise or no point in it, and we didn't have the right tools in line to accept such a large network so fast. And as a result, we've lost out now after doing some list washing and some re-engaging and such. We've lost 2/3 of that list. That's a swamp-like list, or your swamp-like network. We're engaging some people. There is some life to it, but there's something that's just wrong because it's too expansive. Where we then looked at was, how do we make our swamp-like network turn or shift into what we like to see as a river-like network, where you're flowing, things are happening strategically, you know what's happening, you know who you're communicating with. And there's some tools that are in line that we were going to explain a little bit later, but those tools are things that you want to have happen at the onset of your networking, and have those in line right now. I mean, not now, but right now, to be effective as to where you want to go. Here we are growing and growing, expanding our reach and our touch, and we did not have the right tools in line. And so as a lesson learned, we had to add this to this talk, because a swamp-like network is very, very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous, because now your customer service is off. There's so many different components that you'll find that having a swamp-like network you're going to run into. But that's for another day. What I want to really get into is taking that network and shifting it to a river-like network. But in order to do that, we have to understand what is important regarding our network, and how does it affect, or how do our decisions at this point, at this onset, how does it affect our network long-term and short-term? One of the things I asked today also on Facebook was, do you see your network as being a currency driven network or a value driven network? I'll ask the question again, and I really want you to take some time and really just take about 30 seconds right quick and ask yourself, are you chasing money in your network, or are you creating value? Is your network value based or currency based? Now, there's really no wrong answers here, but I want you to take a quick second and reflect on whether or not you are looking for your network to create net money, cash, or do you want your network to be able to sustain you even after with ups and downs in the economy, with ups and downs in your own business model? Which one are you looking? I'm gonna give you another 10 seconds to really think about it, and then I want you to write it down. Then, so here goes your 10 seconds. All right, that's enough. Okay, so then The next question, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to think about this. Close your eyes for a moment. And I sit in front of you. On one side, I'm sitting a stack of $10,000 currency, it's cash. You can spend it tomorrow. You can do whatever you need to do. You can pay some bills. You can invest in your company, invest in an investment vehicle of some sort. Take that $10,000, do whatever you want to. But on the other side, I'm going to take $10,000 worth of gold. It's broken up. It's in little bricks. And I want you to take your time, take in your mind and say, which one would you rather grasp at? Would you grasp at the $10,000 that's necessary to fulfill the needs of a temporary situation? Or are you really thinking about the long-term value that could be created with that gold? Are you thinking about whether or not you take that $10,000 and if you had to travel outside here, or let's just say we had to take that $10,000 and travel into the Eurozone, would that $10,000 cash be the same? Will you get the same value? Get that? Would you get the same value out of that $10,000 as if you would take that $10,000 worth of gold and you take it across seas and you take it into the Eurozone? Will you get the value that that gold is worth? Or you're going to get it based upon what the economy of the system that you're pulling that cash from? Which of the two do you believe is going to be more effective in the long run? Most of us in this day and age and in this economy would find ourselves looking at that $10,000 cash and tempted to grab hold to that. And as we build our network and as we build our businesses, we start looking at it looking at our network as a currency funnel. We begin to look at our network as who's going to be able to take our product, our service, or refer someone to use our product or our service, and can we make the maximum amount of money for that product or service? Most of us would take a look at our network and say that where we want to go is into that place where we can pay our bills, where we can do things. And those are all natural good things, because in order to have an effective business, you have to be able to pay your bills. You have to be able to do what you need. And the value of your network, though, however, is so much greater than the currency that it could create. So now in your mind, let's take a look at the value standpoint of your network. If you begin to look at your network as a value versus a currency, as value versus currency, what changes is how you relate to the people that you communicate with. You're no longer becoming the walking elevator pitch. You're no longer going to networking events and looking to see if you can close and seal a deal by the end of the night. You're no longer waking up in the morning and just randomly shooting off at the hip on your social media marketing campaigns. You're not just putting out things in Groupon, and you're no longer just trying to offer discounts, and you're no longer trying to get that cash. But take it now that you've created this network of individuals that have a greater sense of presence in what it is that you're doing. You're educating them. Number one, you're educating that network. You're telling them about not only about what it is that you're doing with your products and services, but how does that product or service relate to their business, their networks, or their network? How does that product or service benefit them? And how ultimately can you meet their success goals? How can you assist them in reaching their success goals? Number two, you begin to take a look at that network and you begin to say, how does that network relate to myself personally? Not in business, but how does this network going to help me achieve my success, my personal success goals? How does this network going to affect me personally? When you've taken out the currency and you look long-term into your business and into your network, you begin to see that you're connecting people, intertwining communities. And as you begin to look at your own life, you'll start to see that there's so much more value than just that dollar bill. Now you're creating effective relationships, and effective relationships can transcend that dollar for hour exchange. They can transcend the exchange of goods and services. That I have a saying where I learned it a little while ago while in college, was where money can't take you, favor can. And favor in that essence is not just a opportunity or for someone to do something great for you, but favor is a positional thing. Favor is a moment where you can take inside of yourself, take yourself out of the situation that you're in personally, business wise, and look at it from a larger perspective. And you create these interpersonal relationships with people that will take you far beyond wit. But there could be another need that happens. You never know what could come out of your network. I've seen it on many occasions where within the network business community in Portland, Oregon, where a young lady had a situation where her son was tragically killed. And her business network came together and created a situation where her not only was the funeral costs taken care of, but everything was handled. I know it's a little bit morbid, but I wanted to show as an example of how your network, your business network, taking it just a few moments and taking it out of just being business or currency driven and value driven, that value cannot be touched. There's no amount of money that can exchange and take that woman's life, who was a single mom who lost something great to her life. No money can exchange that, but knowing that her business community stepped up and shared in her pain and helped her walk through this, that, my friend, is far more valuable than the currency that could be exchanged. So thirdly, then you must look at your value-based network and say, how can I deliver value before asking for value in return? How do I deliver as much value? How do I give so much? How do I under promise and over deliver so much within my network, within the group of people that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis, or trying to expand into a different market or into a different industry? How do I deliver or create so much value from myself that before I can ever ask for value in return, that the tide is already shifted in your favor? That, my friend, is a concept that a lot of people in this day and age and in this market, we've forgotten all about. We've forgotten about what it meant to be a community, to think outside of yourself. We've forgotten because we've become so inwardly motivated. We've become so inwardly thought process. Even as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, we've become so inwardly motivated that we forgot that there's a value exchange. It's a crossing. But if you ever wanted to do anything in your life, there's sometimes you got to give of yourself prior to ever thinking about getting anything in return. And that in relationship marketing is so important, because what we look at is there's a sales cycle. People want to begin to know, like, and trust you in order to even complete that sales process. But what better way to begin that process than by delivering so much overwhelming value to the individuals that you're looking to create a relationship with, and begin that cycle by overwhelming them with a value statement that makes them think and makes them look at you and say, wait a minute, not only am I compelled to do this, but it's almost, I feel obligated in order to do so, because there's so much value poured into this relationship on the other side. We want ever to think about what is going to be the reciprocal of what we do. And if you take your life and if you take your business and you begin to look at it from that standpoint and saying, I want to deliver value to my network before even ever asking for value in return, what will then happen is you will begin to receive so much in exchange. It may not be the currency that you're looking for, but once again, we've already established that currency can only take you but so far. But value in your network, creating a value-based network, you will no longer have a swamp-like identity, but you will become a river. Your network will become free-flowing, full of life. Things will begin to exchange, but you can eat from a lot of the things that you can pull out of a river versus a swamp. You can consume a lot more things that are happening in and around a river more than you could a swamp. Large cities, the greatest cities in the world, were formed next to or on the banks of a river because there's life, there's sustainability within that river. There's everything that you can use inside of that river. And that's the same way that you got to look at your network. As you begin to add value to it, and as you begin to add value to others, you get to see your life, your business become that river that things can flow to you and from you into the lives of others. And then you will be able to make an exchange. But before I go, I want to give you a couple of quick pointers, and I'm just going to how to create that value and keep that value process going, while at the same time looking to keep your business from being a swamp-like network, or your network from being a swamp-like network to a river. Number one is create and establish an effective CRM, a customer relationship management system. You have to start with that. It was my experience that we had a CRM, but it wasn't effective. It wasn't properly run. It wasn't properly handled. And as a result, we lost 2/3 of what could be potential readers, businesses, readers, and potential features and potential advertisers. We lost that because, number one, we did not have an effective CRM in place. Number two was stop trying to build your network yourself. In a value-based relationship, it is very easy to create so much value that when you add that value to another individual's network and their business, what will happen is that you will begin to integrate and intertwine into their fabric and the fabric of their business. Thus, you're creating a larger network, and then now their network becomes something. So continue to add value to someone else's network. And the third thing that you need to do in order to create a river-like network and not a swamp-like network, and still establish a value-based network, the last thing you need to do is be you. Don't try to be someone else. Don't look at every networking book and hear these different networking groups that are up and down and in and out. You have to be you. You have to understand your network. You have to understand your business. You have to educate yourself what it is that you do enough so that when people ask you and communicate and they bring themselves to you, what will then happen is that they will see the passion that you have for your business, the passion that you have for what it is that people that you're trying to help, the passion that you have, and then they themselves will begin to attach to your vision, because you're not trying to be someone else. You're not trying to develop a process that someone else has done. Rather, you're taking concepts and ideas from all over the place and you're turning it into yourself. So you create a CRM. You add value to other networks and intertwine yourself, but most of all, be yourself. Be who you are. Be who God made you to be. Because in essence, that's all you have at the end of it is yourself. Your business can flourish. It can flow like a river. Your network can grow if you decide to add value versus chasing the currency. Because here's the blessing about doing all this, is that once you've added enough value, once you've talked to enough people, once you've touched enough lives, once you've changed enough lives, once you've been in enough places and you've talked to many people, ups and downs, and you've helped people out of situations, you've created so much value. There comes a moment where you could take that gold bar anywhere in the world and say, I would like to exchange this value for currency today. And with that in mind, I say thank you for taking the time out to listen to me rant and rave about networking. It's something that I'm so passionate about. It's something that I hope that you become passionate about. If you have any questions, fire away. I'm excited. I see everybody's back. Wow.
Hi, well, I have a surprise for you, Darnell, because look who walked in.
Hi, Darnell.
Becky McIntosh, who is a friend of Darnell's as well, and she came by to say hello and to watch your webinar. So Darnell, I love the imagery of the idea of it being a river, versus a swamp. And I mean, I love the power in that. And what have you found as you've gone around the country and you've talked to all of these people? What have you found has been the biggest problem that's facing people, you know, in their networking and their marketing, you know, that they're stuck, the thing that's keeping them in the swamp and stuck? What is that thing that you would say is the number one thing?
Not the last point that I made, not being themselves, trying too much to be like someone else, because these systems, when you think about, let's just, information right now is for sale. No matter which way you look at it, there's all types of information. Everyone's becoming an expert in some way and somehow. So they're writing books, they're doing seminars, they're doing webcasts, they're doing all this, and people are attracted to them. And as a result, when I'm watching and I'm talking to people and I'm listening to them communicate their brand, communicate what it is, that you're thinking, who told you to do this? This is so not you. You can tell that this is not the individual. This is somewhere where they heard, I need to develop a 30-second elevator pitch. I need to, and it's not who you are. It's not even what your business does. Your business is not a business where you can put together a 30-second elevator pitch. You have to create a relationship. And all over the place, everywhere that I have been, that was a big factor. The other one that I say that's like kind of parallels to that one is what I call card dumpers. And those are the individuals who just go to events and all they do is pass out their business cards. You ever see them? You ever go into a business? Hey, my name is Darnell. Here you go. My name is Darnell. Here you go. And you look up and they've spent all this money on these nice looking pretty business cards and absolutely no relationships built. Sucks, in most cases, they don't even take a card in return. They don't even stop and go, may I have, here's my card. May I have your, at least that represents an exchange of idea that maybe we can communicate. But you just watch them. And as a matter of fact, I was in Portland and we were getting ready for a networking event up there. And a young lady came in. And she was just, while the event was still kind of quiet, she just started walking around the room, putting her business card on everyone's table and placing. And I said to her, I go, I don't think that that's a good idea. I mean, those are nice business cards. I'm sure that you and your company are spending money on that. I don't think that's a good idea for you to just dump it. Because here's the other thing is that you didn't realize is as you're walking around, you know, you work for, I believe it was MetLife, and she didn't even realize that someone else from MetLife had done the very same thing. So there were two MetLife business cards on a place setting, and you're like, you begin to think about it. And so she goes, well, I was just told that this is one of the best ways to get your name out there. And I go, I don't think that's a good idea. And she began to question what gave me the authority, I guess, to say that. And it was really an awesome opportunity to see the look on her face when I got up to speak about networking at the event. But the classic thing that you see is those two things: people not being things that are comfortable with them, and they become robots and they regurgitate a lot of things that's not really necessary. And the other thing is they just waste their money and their time passing out business cards and not creating relationships.
Awesome. Well, do you have any questions?
Darnell, thanks for all your great tips and things that you shared today. Yeah, relationships are number one, and that's something that I felt the first time that I met you. I'll never forget that. That was it was over Skyping, and you really you asked Laurie and I, who were Skyping with you, you wanted to get to know us and what we did, and same with you, and how we could help each other and support each other and to grow in what we were doing. And you are, you walk the talk. You are someone that develops relationships, that you're a great networker, and thank you for sharing your expertise.
Thank you. Now I'm all smiling and choosing. This is too funny. Thank you. Well, I want to say congratulations to you. Congratulations on everything that's going on with you. You know, I have to say, until Heidi told me, I didn't even realize that was your husband. But I had read everything about that. And the day that I said, wait a minute, that was her husband. I was having a conversation with her regarding a couple of things. And I said, that was his husband? Oh, come on. That has got to be the funniest thing. How small is this world that I'm reading something that was here? It was published here. And here I am reading about it on a local thing, but it's somewhere that I'm connected with way on the other side of the country. So I'm looking forward to, oh, I almost forgot to make that announcement, huh? I'm looking forward to April.
Yes.
Oh,
Darnell is coming in April
Oh,
to
that's
do
the
a vision
great news.
weekend. So
Yes,
we're gonna
I
get
am
to
looking. I almost forgot about that. I'm even more excited now because I get to do a real interview. And that's something that I wanted to do with you, Becky, regarding that whole situation. And with a couple of our new brands that have popped up, that story itself would fit in so many ways. And then the other one that I wasn't supposed to make the announcement, but I guess since we're talking about it, because the story is wrapped around your daughter. I really want to publish the story in what is going to be my daughter's 16th birthday gift. We're actually starting a teen magazine where she's going to be running as the editor-in-chief. And I think that story would be one of the best and the funniest stories to put in that initial edition. That's my little gift to my little girl. She actually started blogging a little bit over a year ago, and she was the editor of her school blog. And recently she lost her grandmother, who was helping her with writing and teaching, really helping her develop that. And I think that story, your husband and your daughter's story, is something that I think teenagers need to see. I think that it's not just for the humor and the understanding of adults, but I think that taking that story from the perspective of younger people really getting into it and really seeing that things are not what you seem, and there's so much more out there for you than to try to be the status quo and what is the norm. And I think that was one of I want to do that and put that in there. But that was something, we're not launching that until after I've been there. So I was going to kind of do it all there. But since you're here, I didn't expect you to be here, so I get to talk about it anyway.
Well, and that's what Becky's platform really focuses on, is how parents and teens can really connect with each other and stop fighting with each other so much. So that's just perfect. Perfect. Well, Darnell, it's been so great to talk with you today, and we're so excited for April. It's going to be amazing to actually meet you in person and give you a big hug and, see what we can create here in Salt Lake City with Evolution Magazine and Talk Magazine and all of the other brands that you're launching right now. So thank you so much, and we will keep in touch.
I have one request for when I come.
Okay.
I want to go to a ski lodge. Dave this morning was telling me, I guess where you guys are located, there's 5 or 7 of them around there. I want to go. I hope that there's just a little. I'm not necessarily big on the skiing part, but I want to go into the mountains. I want to see one and say that I chimed in.
Awesome.
At a ski lodge in Salt Lake City, because you guys are really high up in the air.
Right
anyway,
up the road.
so it's gonna be kind of cool. I'm not going to try to run on a frozen lake though. That's not what I'm not going to try that.
Well, Becky and I just went and spent a weekend up in Snowbird and got snowed in a few months ago. So hopefully by April there won't be any snow, so we can just drive up there and not.
I can bring some with.
You can bring some with you. Awesome.
Yeah, because we got plenty to spare. It's a lot out there. Well, guys, thank you so much. It's so nice. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you guys and with the Wisdom Window. I'm looking forward to this relationship growing even further. And we've been plotting out our series that's coming, and we're going to be videotaping it for our window. We're going to begin that at the beginning of next month. So looking forward to really connecting and tell Brooks and Dave, thank you again. And I look forward to connecting and seeing you guys in a couple of months.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Darnell.
Take
Bye.
care.